Welcome! In this video we'll be taking a look at Gaian, a epic grade support class Elune. Going over their base stats at 6 stars level 60, they have a very nice 31.6k HP, 4.2k attack, and a low but average PDEF and MDEF for epic grade at 2.7k PDEF and 2.8k MDEF. His attack speed at 111 is quite high, making him very good as a support for getting those buffs off quickly for your team. As he is transcended up to his max at +5, his HP goes up to a very nice 47.5k for a support. His attack ending at 6.3k isn't bad, and then he has a 4k and 4.2k magic and physical defense, making him decently tanky overall for an epic grade. Looking in at his skills, his first skill, Rune Bash, is a basic frontline only attack that does 90 plus 95% of his attack as magic damage. This skill, as you level it up to +6, goes up to a decent 810 plus 130% of his attack as magic damage. This is a basic magic damage skill that only hits the frontline target. Looking in at his special skill, which is one of his better skills to use and a good reason to use him as a support, this skill only consumes 2 souls when you use it. At level 1, this will apply a random rune effect between 3 different options for 2 turns. If you get a red rune effect, this increases his attack by 5% of Gaian's max HP. The yellow rune effect, which is physical defense up, is 5% of his max HP as physical defense. The blue one, which is magic defense up, again is 5% of his max HP. As these are consistent as 5% of his max HP, having him as higher HP does help. It's random which one that you get on the target, but as this only takes 2 souls, you can use it very often to give a full array of benefits, including the attack, physical, and magic defense for 2 turns. As this skill is leveled up, however, to the max of +6, the rune effect duration goes up to a very nice 5 turns, and it now is based on 9% of his max HP, meaning that if you do have good HP on him, the attack increase, physical and magic defense can go up quite significantly with him, making the Elunes that he's giving this buff to very tanky and hit decently hard with this buff. His ultimate skill, this is an AoE buff and heal. This skill heals the HP of all allies by 110 plus 120% of his attack, and puts one of the random rune effects on him that you saw in the special skill. As this skill is leveled up to the max at +6, the heal goes up to 840 plus 163% of his attack, and still grants only 1 rune effect. The skill is a very nice AoE heal and pretty decent, as his base attack for an epic support is pretty good. This makes him a good support, as he also is a healer, so in certain situations where you can't bring a healer, he is an AoE healer, and it with a 4 soul only consumption that also buffs when it heals. His first passive. This passive increases the attack by 3% for each rune effect that an ally has. This makes them even stronger, so as they have up to 3 rune effects that they can have, then the ally can have an additional 9% attack. His second passive. After using his special skill called Bestow Rune, he has a 50% chance of using it again on the same target. This means you have a 50-50 chance of granting that effect twice on the same target at the same cost of just 2 souls, as the second time, if it goes, does not consume souls. This means that you have a good chance of applying 2 different rune effects onto the target every time you use his special skill, making it a very good spammable 2 soul skill for buffing up your team. His third passive, when he has in possession of 3 rune effects, he obtains 1 soul immediately upon getting a turn. So if you buff him up and he has all 3 of his rune effects on him, then he will get 1 soul as soon as he gets a turn. So keeping all 3 on him is desirable as it gives him an ability to give your team more turns, but is not a priority, so make sure that you do focus on giving those buffs to your team as well. Looking in at his skill gem effects, his first skill is a magic damage skill and gives 2 magic and a orange crit rate as the option. As the skill does nothing else, the 5% chance to confuse the target for 1 turn while it is low is something that is still decent and can be very annoying to the enemy if you do land it on them. As the skill really does nothing else, why not have a little bit of a chance to have it be useful? His special skill, the 2 soul skill, which will be used many times, this skill, the bonus, heals the target by 3%. This means that it does act as a small heal every time that he buffs with it, and it is something that you will be spamming with him a lot, so he can be healing your team as he buffs them up with this skill. The recommended for this is yellow, yellow, violent, which isn't bad as the 2 yellows provide bonus increases to the buffs that he gives, and the violent gives him an extra speed after using it. This means that he can cycle back quicker to gate a turn. The other option for this one, if you do not care about the heal, then you can go with a full yellow stack, giving him a bonus overall. His ultimate skill, similar to the second one, is yellow, yellow, violent. This one, the bonus is restores 1 soul with a 10% chance. As this is a low chance to do, instead going possibly with the yellow, yellow, yellow effect instead to increase the bonus of it would be something that would be good to have on him, as it would increase the overall usefulness of it. The skill also heals, so going with a green in place of the violent could be an option too if you want him as a stronger healer. Looking at the dimension slate for him, if you do this one, the ones that you would want to focus on him primarily are going to be anything that makes him tankier, meaning that his HP, physical defense, and magic defense are the ones that you want to focus on. His attack speed to make him move quickly wouldn't be a bad option. His attack is okay to have because he does have a heal based on his attack, so any additional attack you can get is decent. Gear options for Gaian can vary depending on what you want to do and where you plan to use him. Going with the Disciple Elune set can be dangerous though, depending on the boss that you bring him into, as one of the boss battles having the barrier does present a problem, as it does create a barrier effect, and the boss would instantly gain a turn and able to hit very hard to your team with soul damage. Giving him the support set or anything that helps him survive or move quickly would be good. He does not need damage, so giving him the HP for his offhand is recommended, as his main buffs are going to be based on his HP, whereas only his heal is going to be based on his attack. But considering he can buff his own attack, then you can buff his attack with his runes and buffs to himself, and then use the heal, making the heal better and not having you to have to focus on giving him attack on his offhand. He does not apply debuffs, so you do not need a full moon set, so anything that just increases his HP, where the stats are going to be where you want. Speed is also nice so that he can buff quickly on a turn, making him very good as a buffer and a support. Overall, Gaian is not a bad support. Now, of course, Wei Wei is a better support, but in some cases, Wei Wei might not be an option. For example, if you're early game, Gaian is a very good option or alternative to Wei Wei, as he provides mostly the same types of functionality. He does have a minor heal with his support skills on his skill gem effect on his special skill, plus his AoE heal on his third ultimate skill. He also provides defensive buffs and attack buffs that are quite decent for your team, and he can spam those buffs quite often. Another time that you might want to use Gaian, even if you have a Wei at mid-range or later stages where you get and have farmed the Wei, another time that you might want to use Gaian is if you're doing the daily quest for boss battles. In some of those quests, sometimes you are allowed to bring support, but perhaps are limited by the gender of the Elunes that you can bring, meaning that they all have to be the same gender. And in this case, perhaps that you have a better situation for the male gender. And if this is the case, for example, if you must bring 2 tanks, it is much easier to find 2 male tanks than it is to find 2 female tanks. This means that bringing Gaian as a buffer for your team, as a support option for that team, would be beneficial to having none at all, as he does provide the increased attack and defenses as well as a minor heal for your team and your tanks. So he is a viable option to build and can be used especially for doing those daily quests for the boss battles to give you more rewards from doing your boss battles every day. He is not a replacement for Wei in all situations, as Wei is usually the option you would want to go with and will be much better overall for you. He is, however, an option to Wei or can be used alongside Wei to even give more buffs to your team, as his buffs do stack with the Wei buffs and they can be quite substantial. This can make your team even better. That's going to be it for this one. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Leave them below and I will answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.